Welcome everyone to the NoDQ.com live recap of Friday Night SmackDown for July 18th, 2025. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. We are on the countdown to SummerSlam in New Jersey. Let's get to the show. We opened up SmackDown with something a little bit different. There was a car accident outside the building involving members of the MFTs. You had Tonga Loa bleeding. You had investigators looking into the scene. Adam Pearce, who was filling in for Nick Aldis, was out there. Then we had Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair backstage. Alexa was feeling like their team was a failure. They should split up. But Charlotte said they didn't get pinned at Evolution. And thus, she went to Adam Pearce, and a title match was set up for SummerSlam. Charlotte and Alexa will challenge for the tag team titles against Raquel and Roxanne Perez. We had our first match of the evening, which was Charlotte going up against Raquel. Charlotte wanted Alexa out there as her cheerleader. Alexa did agree. She came out there with the pom-poms. You had Charlotte doing the crossbody over the top rope, but then Roxanne tried to interfere. Alexa Bliss got in Roxanne's face. With all this going on, you had Raquel able to take the advantage. She sent Charlotte into the ring post, and then after the commercial break, Charlotte made her comeback, but then Raquel caught Charlotte going for a crossbody off the top, power slammed her, and then Raquel went for the Tejana bomb. Charlotte avoided that, went for the figure eight. Raquel got on the apron, but the plan here backfired because while the referee was dealing with Raquel, or should I say, dealing with Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez was on the apron, and Alexa took a cheap shot at Raquel, and then Charlotte with the roll-up got the 1-2-3 victory. Pretty standard match here, not much to say about it. You got this title match set up with really a couple of weeks of build, and they did the one-on-one match leading up to the tag match. It was very standard. Shout out to Ian, who sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Ian. I appreciate it. Ian says, if JC Jane wins the TNA Knockouts title, does that make the WWE/TNA partnership one-sided like AEW had with TNA? TNA is finally getting something substantial, and that is the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. AJ will be at Slammiversary, making his return to TNA. That is huge. That is the biggest thing that TNA has gotten out of this partnership. So if JC Jane wins, doesn't really matter. Trick Williams is the NXT champion and the TNA champion. Well, he was the NXT champion. Now he's the TNA wrestling champion. I mean, it's hard to keep track of who's champion of what these days. But nonetheless, I don't think it's a big deal. AEW and TNA had their thing going, and I feel like AEW definitely got the best of that. TNA, though, with WWE, I mean, look at the numbers for Slammiversary. Their ticket sales were very lackluster, but in the past week or so, they have really picked up. They are starting to have a pretty decent attendance for this show. And if they keep pushing those numbers and moving those numbers over the next couple of days, it could be one of their biggest crowds ever in the United States. I would say TNA is doing pretty good out of this partnership. So I don't think it's a big deal at all. But thank you for the super chat, Ian. We had a video package for Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. Pretty standard. And then backstage, the cops wanted to talk to Jacob Fatu. They said he was a person of interest, and he said he didn't do anything. He was very unhappy with the cops. More on this in just a few moments. Backstage, Damian Priest was looking for Aleister Black, but he ran into Carmelo Hayes. They traded some words, and then a match was set up between these guys. Carmelo took a cheap shot at Priest right when the match started. He tried an Irish whip, but Priest would not budge. Priest got all fired up, but then Carmelo was able to drop kick Priest into the ring post. And then after the commercial break, you had Carmelo going for sweet chin music. I should note that this show was in San Antonio, Texas, and that's why they did this with the sweet chin music, so Carmelo could get the heat, but Priest blocked it. And then Hayes avoided the Razor's Edge, came off top with the frog splash. Priest kicked out of that, and then they brawled on the outside. Priest sent Mello into the announce table, got him back in the ring, and was going for old school on the top rope, but then Aleister Black showed up, causing a disqualification, and then Aleister Black laid him out with the Black Mass. The match was good, but yeah, the DQ was quite expected here with Aleister Black hiding around, and you know he's going to show up at some point. It's fine, but just your typical SmackDown storyline. We had the Wyatt Six doing a little video package, being all scary and whatnot. And then we had the MFTs come into the ring. Crowd was chanting OTC, by the way, even though Roman Reigns is in a different storyline now. And you had Solo calling Jacob Fatu reckless, says he only cares about himself. And he made Fatu, and he said Fatu deserves none of his success. He said, once a criminal, always a criminal. At this point, Fatu showed up via a police car, and the officers said that Fatu had been cleared. They saw the video footage. Jimmy Uso came out there. We had a huge brawl erupt with everybody, and Fatu and Jimmy managed to gain the advantage. Jim and Talatanga went over the barricade, and then Fatu went after Solo. He put the chair around his neck, but then the MFTs saved Solo. However, Tongaloa and JC Mateo got beat down a little bit. And then after this was over, Adam Pearce came out there and said that Solo Sikoa tried to frame Jacob Fatu. And then Pearce made an announcement at SummerSlam. It will be Solo Sikoa defending the United States Championship at SummerSlam against Jacob Fatu, and it will be a steel cage match. He brought the cops back out. Solo thought they were going to arrest Fatu again, but instead they turned around and arrested Solo Sikoa. And Solo, as mentioned in the chat room, Solo was doing his Vince McMahon being arrested impression. It was entertaining. This was another one of these segments. You know, AEW did it last week with the limo being destroyed. And to me, this was something very similar, where they did like a little throwback to the Attitude Era with the arrest, the bad guy getting arrested by the cops. It was fun. It was a fun little segment here. Ian sent in a $2 super chat, says, we better have Solo in jail skits next week. Yes, I'm all for that, by the way. They should do a recreation of the Mountie after SummerSlam 91 when he went to the big house and Solo gets in the jail, and they do the photo of him, and he's in there with all the other criminals and the catering. There's so many fun things that they could do with this, where he's trying to get bail and all this stuff. Like, they totally should. That would be fun. All right, next up, we had footage shown from Jimmy Kimmel Live. So we had Jelly Roll as a special guest for Jimmy Kimmel this week. Randy Orton was on the show, but then it was hijacked by Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. And Logan Paul ended up being chokeslammed through that table. It was an interesting little angle, and WWE got some publicity out of it, so good for them. I'm fine with Jelly Roll being in a match. I know people are like, this is a waste of a SummerSlam match, but my opinion, if a celebrity actually cares about being there and wants to learn the craft, I'm all for it. If they can bring more eyeballs to the brand, I don't see a problem with that. What I do not like is when celebrities come in and they clearly have no interest in wrestling. They're there to plug their project that they're doing, their movie or whatnot, and they see wrestling as beneath them, but it's some publicity for them. That's when I dislike celebrity appearances. A lot of the stuff during the guest host era, I was not a fan of. But Jelly Roll, you can tell he is a legitimate fan who wants to be there. I'm all for it. I have no problem with that. And he seems like he's picking up on it well. He lost weight. He seems dedicated. So why not? If a celebrity is willing to put in the work, let us see what he can do. Next up, we had Stephanie Vakair against Alba Fire. Basically a squash match. I mean, Alba barely got in any offense. There was no Chelsea Green this week. Vakair did the Devil's Kiss and then won with the SVB. But then afterwards, Piper Niven attacked her. I guess we're getting Stephanie versus Piper Niven next week or some crap like that. You know, it's just time filler to establish Stephanie Vakair. I thought she was on Raw, but who knows at this point? I'm not even sure if they know what brand she's supposed to be on. We had Street Profits interviewed backstage, and their interview was interrupted by DIY. DIY said the Profits blew it against the Wyatt Six, and they're going to fix the tag team division. And that led to DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns versus Fraxium versus Phoenix versus Andrade. This was the best match on the show. Fun, fast-paced match. Everybody got to do their moves. It was fun. Things broke down. Everybody was brawling, and each team got the upper hand for a little bit. And then DIY attempted to steal a win, but they were unsuccessful with that. Andrade went for the message, but Candice LeRae got on the apron. Johnny Gargano accidentally kicked Ciampa, and that was the downfall for them. Phoenix wiped out Gargano with a dive, and then Andrade finished him off with the message. Yeah, it was a good match. Definitely the highlight of the show. Next up, we had our final segment, the contract signing. You guys know I am not a fan of contract signings because of the whole idea that they already announced the match. They've already been advertising it. Why would you advertise a match that isn't signed, sealed, and delivered? Just the very nature of it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you do a contract signing before you start advertising the match. So neither guy in kayfabe can pull out of the match. And anyways, speaking of that, we had the match, or the contract signing for the match. Cody Rhodes immediately signed, and he talked about not flinching during the key moments in WWE, including when politics were involved and The Rock tried to make Cody sell his soul. And he said that he did flinch at WrestleMania 41, but obviously is looking to turn things around. John Cena, the WWE champion, came out there and he said he had some bad news. He said he is not going to be at SummerSlam because he's filming his big movie at Netflix and he is emotionally exhausted. He said that Cody will get his match, though, maybe in Paris, maybe in Perth, Australia, but no way in good faith could he sign the contract for SummerSlam. He thanked everybody for understanding, and he walked away. He left the ring. Cody was irate. He took off his jacket. He ran out of the ring and attacked John Cena. Cena tried to fight back, and then Cena got the championship. Cody avoided the belt shot, and then Cody took the title. He hit John Cena with the title. He put John Cena on a table. He took the contract, and with the contract, jumped off the top rope with a splash, putting Cena through the table. And then he took Cena's hand. He got the pen with Cena's hand and signed the contract. Now, Wade Barrett, he needed to play this up more. He needed to be like, that's not legally binding, do the whole Bobby Heenan thing. But beyond that, this was one of those segments where it was entertaining. Didn't really make logical sense. Again, kind of felt like an Attitude Era type of segment with Cody using Cena's hand to sign the contract, just like when Austin would take the unconscious Vince and go 1, 2, 3 when Vince was the referee. So obviously doesn't make any sense realistically, but it's fun. That was stuff they did in the Attitude Era. So it was a little throwback to that. And then Cody had one more little nugget of information, and that was the match at SummerSlam is going to be a street fight. So there you have it. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena in a street fight at SummerSlam. And as Building Nexus said, thank you, Building Nexus, for the $2 super chat, says much harder to cheat in a street fight. Yes, very true. But I'm sure John Cena will have a few tricks up his sleeve, or maybe a trick up his hat or something, his baseball cap. We'll see what happens. Lots of intrigue about this match. People are wondering, is Cody going to turn heel at some point? Like, is this really the end of Cena's title run when he still has several months left on his retirement tour? Yeah, I'm very intrigued by it. Overall, I think SmackDown was good. I don't think it was close to being an all-timer, but it was solid. Like, there were a few segments that felt generic, but then I did like the Attitude Era like stories they did with the cops and Solo getting arrested, and then the ending with the contract. At least it was something different for a contract signing. And that four-way tag match was really good. And then the rest of the show was just kind of average. I give it a 6 out of 10. Good SmackDown. SummerSlam is shaping up nicely, and they still got 2 episodes left, 2 more SmackDowns, 2 more Raws, 2 more Raws to really get us hyped up for SummerSlam. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in for the SmackDown recap. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and stay tuned to the NoDQ.com YouTube channel. This weekend, more videos coming up on the page. We got the wrestling's hottest audacious takes. And then we also have another No DQ round table coming up this weekend. Like I said, 6 out of 10 for SmackDown, Jerry. Good episode. Stay tuned for all those videos coming up this weekend. And then we got more coming up this week. So follow No DQ on all social media platforms and follow me at Aaron Rift for various posts about wrestling and other topics. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time.